Today's episode of the Mountain Matchups podcast is brought to you by JW Sheds and Carports. Whether you're looking for a new shed to store your tools or a sturdy carport to keep your vehicle protected, JW's has you covered. Located at 10 Pallet Road in Candler, North Carolina, JW Sheds and Carports offers high-quality, durable structures to meet all your outdoor storage needs. Give them a call today at 828-777-8401 to learn more, or stop by and check out their selection in person. That's 828-777-8401 for JW Sheds and Carports, your trusted source for sheds and carports in Candler.
You're listening to the Mountain Matchups Podcast, your home for Western North Carolina high school sports.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Mountain Matchups Podcast. I'm here, as always, with my good friends Dylan, Corey, and Jason. How we doing, boys?
Doing great, my man.
Living the dream.
Doing good, man.
Did you guys have a good weekend? Anything exciting happen?
Always fun watching Pisgah lose, Warren.
We'll get into that here momentarily. Spent the weekend with Caleb. Celebrated our buddy Shane's 40th birthday. He looks like Joe Biden, but thankfully he doesn't get lost like Joe Biden. But it's a great birthday party. Had a great weekend with Caleb and his lovely wife and friends, and it was a good weekend.
And you forgot to mention the best part. We watched the greatest fighter of all time, Jake Paul, beat Mike Tyson. Yeah. That's very impressive. It's hard to beat a 58-year-old man.
And people just keep like feeding into this dude's pocket, like, and then they wonder why the fight was bad. But
I mean, he is a legit fighter.
I mean, I'm not saying
he doesn't fight anyone, but he is a legit fighter.
I don't know if he could beat you up though.
He'd beat the crap out of me, and I'd let him for $10 million. I'd let him break my jaw.
All I'm going to say is
$10 million.
I've seen Warren at the watering hole, boys. Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Thankfully, we didn't get shot. So, anyways.
Almost.
There were shots fired, though.
Yeah.
That's a story for another day. Dylan, you got some shout-outs for us?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout-out to our natives from Enka. Avery Coggins has committed to play D1 softball at the University of Wofford. And pitcher Deegan Randall has committed to play baseball at Western Carolina. So big shout-out to them.
Clap it up, boys.
That's awesome.
So I'm talking about.
So crazy. You know, that's so crazy for me to like. I didn't even realize it for the longest time, but like as Deegan got like older and was like really good standout baseball player at Enka, I'd heard his name but didn't make the connection. So he's Isaiah's age, Caleb, our nephew Isaiah. They grew up playing baseball together. Okay. I remember going to their baseball games when they were little, and I was like, this kid was always bigger than everybody else. He was always good, and I'd never made the connection there. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually coached him in Little League with his dad. I was his head coach whenever he was like 10 years old, so it's pretty cool. It's awesome to see them kids grow up and do big things.
Yeah, props to them. So we want to jump into a little football, fellas?
Do it.
Got it.
So I think it's only right that we start with a game that we tabbed as our game of the week. And what we thought would be a knockdown, drag-out fight was more like a knockout, as Smoky Mountain smothered the Bears 27-14 and sent Pisgah packing in the first round of the 3A playoffs. Corey, what'd you see out of that game?
So, a whole lot of dominance from Smoky Mountain's rushing attack. We'll just say that. Just like I told you, Warren would probably be the problem, but I'm going to give Warren crap because, I called this game last week. Honestly thought Pisgah would probably pull it out, but it was good to see that they didn't. But so Pisgah opens up with the ball and trying to move the chains. Smoky's D is holding pretty strong. No dice for Pisgah. Punt to start the game. But Pisgah's punter, lo and behold, instills a little bit of confidence in the defense. Coffin corners them down to their own 2-yard line right in front of me and Luke Rutherford. We were standing down there on the 20, and Smoky can't do a whole lot to get off their own goal line until they find a quick screen out to the left to Jay Stillwell, and, man, he just takes a bunch of Pisgah defenders all the way down the field, just shaking and baking, and gets a big game. And before Pisgah can blink an eye, Aiden Johnson, 56-yard touchdown out of nowhere. Smoky strikes first. Big play for them, and Johnson just continued towards Pisgah's defense for the rest of the night. And, yes, they rush 40 times a game, but you got to stop it, And I was afraid that Pisgah wouldn't be able to. And the quarterback, too, man, Jarek Jones for Smoky Mountain. He found Malachi McNeely, found Jay Stillwell some more. He had a couple long runs himself. But yeah, man, Pisgah just really had no answer. It was the Aiden Johnson show all night.
All right, so your boots on the ground, Corey. How was the atmosphere at the beginning of the game? Because I figured Pisgah would be ready to play. Instead, it looked or seems like they were hibernating, and because of that, they're hibernating until next season. Could you get a little bit more in depth about the atmosphere at the beginning of the game? And was Pisgah ready to play? Did it seem like they were ready to play? Because it seemed like they were down 21-7 almost immediately.
Yeah, so vibes were high at Pisgah, as they always are. Everybody's pumped, Pretty decent atmosphere. Nothing like what you'd see at obviously like a Pisgah and Tuscola game, but packed nonetheless. And yeah, people were excited, and Pisgah seemed ready to play. From what I could tell, they were blowing the train whistle that they used to have down there at the mill. And I was telling Luke before the game like how cool that is, and probably how intimidating it is for an opponent to come play on a field like that in that atmosphere. And then Smoky comes out and does what they do, and they weren't scared one bit. Yeah, and Pisgah fans, man, they were leaving with like 8 minutes, 30 seconds left to play. The announcer sounded defeated pretty much the entire game because Smoky was just that dominant. Pisgah had no answer for anybody. And let me add one more thing too. Like anytime Pisgah would get down the field and cross over into Smoky territory trying to make something happen, I remember there was a 4th and 3 play, and I have no idea why they would not give the ball to Landon Pope. I have no clue. Because the kid, it seemed like every time he touched it, whether it was a short pass or a handoff, the kid was averaging, it seemed like, at least 4 or 5 yards per carry. And especially on a 4th and 3, they roll it out to the right. They shut down Aaron Clark, turnover on downs. And then they had another play, rolled Aaron Clark out right again. Misses, I think it was Jake Lowry out wide on the right side. He tries to force one back, commits the cardinal sin of football. You never want to throw late back across the middle. And what happens? Tip ball, interception, Smoky. So Pisgah really just could never get any momentum going, man. It was like, it was one step forward and like 3 steps back.
And Warren, you were blowing a lot of smoke about that Pisgah defense last week. I mean, they gave up 97 yards rushing to the quarterback alone, and then Aiden Johnson, 19 carries for 162 yards and a touchdown, including one 56-yard run. I mean, what happened to Pisgah's defense?
I have no idea. Like I said, it's something to do with hibernation. Maybe it's a little chilly. Not really sure. I was all aboard the Pisgah train. Corey blew our phones up all Friday. I was getting a little irritated.
God, I had to mess with you a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was telling Warren earlier on the phone, the reason I think behind it was because Smoky, like I said, yes, they play Pisgah. They're in the same conference, right? And Pisgah beat them earlier in the year. But Pisgah didn't play anybody non-conference wise. Smoky did. They almost beat Murphy, who's the 3 seed right now, working towards another state championship. They've already got quite a few under Coach Murphy, who is now retired. But yeah, I mean, they play better talent, in my opinion. And to beat West 47-28, I think it was, and I was at the Pisgah and West game, and Pisgah couldn't stop that either. I mean, I just had a feeling upset was coming.
I'm not gonna lie, just seeing the stats, Aaron Clark had a pretty good game though. It's good completion ratio, 22 for 25. I guess they just couldn't get any touchdowns out of those.
Yeah, Aaron Clark's a baller. That's what I'm saying. He would do his best, man. He would get them. He made this one drive. I think it was in the second quarter. Got him going down the field a little bit, making passes left and right. And then they get in those short yardage situations, and they're not giving the ball to Landon Pope, and that's just putting even more pressure on your quarterback. And he got blasted a couple times too. And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't know though. I'm not the coaches.
Well, Jason, don't feel too bad. We're gonna have our picks for next week. There's always next week.
Unless you're Pisgah.
Oh, easy, buddy.
Whoa.
Easy,
I wish we had a horn or that little siren to hit off right there.
Warren, at least you'll be able to keep up with Pope still whenever it comes to wrestling.
It sounded more like a deranged cat instead of a siren, but all right. Well, appreciate the feedback on that game, Corey. Congrats to Smoky Mountain. They're going to face the MAC champion and number 1 seed Irwin in the second round next week. So good luck to both teams. Let's see how that one shakes out. So the next game we want to highlight, there was a major upset in the first round of the playoffs. Asheville versus Marvin Ridge. Marvin Ridge came into Asheville as the 26th seed and knocked off the 7th seed Cougars 24-10 in the state 4A playoffs. I personally was able to watch this game. and it was dominated by Marvin Ridge's running back, Zach Lee, and their strong defense. I mean, they held Asheville to just one touchdown and controlled the game from start to finish. And when I say start to finish, Asheville was rattled from the start. Marvin Ridge came out and punched them in the mouth early, went up 9-0. Asheville has a promising drive at the end of the first half, put it on Marvin Ridge's 6-yard line, but had to settle for a field goal to make it 9-3 at halftime. They were able to come back in the third quarter and take a 10-9 lead, but that was the last time they would ever see the lead because Marvin Ridge and running back Zach Lee just continued to carry dudes in the end zone to go up 24-10. And turnovers and inability to cash in on trips to the red zone is what really doomed Asheville. They were, going down, scrambling at the end of the game, 24-10. I think there's about 5 minutes left. And again, that Marvin Ridge defense just pressured Meek Slidell, who tossed up a prayer with pressure in his face on 3rd and 11, and it was picked. And from that point on, it was all just keep away from Marvin Ridge as they continued to run the ball down Asheville's throats. So major upset in the first round. I don't think any of us had picked Marvin Ridge to knock off Asheville.
Most did.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. If you look at who Marvin
you
Ridge,
had him picked.
I was just going to say, if you look at who Marvin Ridge plays, though, I mean, they got a bad record, but compared to who like Asheville plays around here, it's a big difference. Playing teams like Weddington and Lake Norman and all those bigger schools up there, so it is surprising.
They were able to get 2 picks on Slidell, and they were constantly putting pressure on him. And he had been solid for Asheville all season, but was only 15 of 24 for 171 yards and 2 picks, no touchdowns. But yeah, just a major upset. Marvin Ridge entered the game on a 3-game losing streak, and their offense was just averaging over 9 points a game in that stretch. And then they come out, go into Asheville as the underdogs, and their running back has 252 yards rushing and a touchdown. They only put up 50 yards passing, but they didn't need to pass very much whenever their running game was dominating like that. So just a crazy, crazy game for Marvin Ridge to come into a hostile territory like Asheville. They get fired up for football. They get the Cougar chant and everything else going, and it just wasn't working for them on this Friday evening.
No, that Cougar chant wasn't working at all that night. This game was decided on the line of scrimmage. Zach Lee, me and you, we rewatched this play 3 times. I think Marvin Ridge was on Asheville's 10-yard line or something. He hits a defensive tackle, then the safety, then middle linebacker comes around. He carries them. I think even a cornerback might have came in to try to tackle him. Literally,
somebody was hanging onto his back. Yeah,
sounds
like me trying to tackle Jagger Gardner in 2015.
I mean, Zach Lee absolutely killed them. Line of scrimmage. I mean, what do you have? 30-something carries, 250. Is a pure dominating performance by Marvin Ridge, and it's a pretty big time upset.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It was a game that was won in the trenches. They were able to get in the backfield and pressure Asheville, and on the flip side, they were able to pound the rock all the way down the field, seemingly at will. So it all ends in a 24-10 upset over Asheville. So congrats to Marvin Ridge. So Asheville was not the only 4A team in Western North Carolina to lose. TC Roberson also fell short of a comeback in Sun Valley. They lost 29-14. Warren, what happened in that game?
Right off the bat, TC got punched in the mouth. I'm sure they were ready to play. I think it's a 70-yard screen pass to Jaden Jones. Immediately, Sun Valley's up 7-0. TC comes right back down the field on 3rd and 8. I think they're on might have been on Sun Valley's 13 or something. A little fade route, throws a pick. TC was in this game. I don't think the score is indicative of how this game went. TC had plenty of chances. They had a 4th and 1, which they converted, had an illegal shift. I think they got a onside kick, didn't get any points out of that. 29-14, this game could have easily, me and you were watching this game. We were getting a little jacked there for a second. It's this game might go to overtime. Cohen Bohannon had 18 tackles.
Yeah,
I think even a pick or something. Just it looked like Luke Kuechly or Zach Thomas out there at times. Constantly, the PA is constantly calling his name.
Just like his father.
Yeah, his father was a hell of a receiver. But yeah, TC had their chances. They just didn't capitalize on them. I feel sorry for them. They played their hearts out. I actually thought they'd lose by more than what they did. Decently, not really that hostile environment. Me and Caleb were talking about the band constantly playing. Sun Valley's band. Good Lord.
That's a loud band.
It's a very loud band. But it's a good game. Good game to watch. TC had their chances. They just couldn't capitalize on it.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, the opening play, screen pass for 70-yard touchdown, that kills you from the very start. More than just deflating. The scoring, it's just deflating, right? You're all hyped up. You come into this game, you're ready to roll, and you give up a 70-yard play to the house. I mean, that just kills you. And then they ended up falling down 21-0. So when you look at the final score, 29-14, I mean, TC battled back. They were able to make it 21-7 at halftime. Second half, they come out, break a 60-yard run that leads to a touchdown. It's 21-14. That's when they had the onside kick, but they couldn't score off of it. And penalties time and time again killed TC in this game. You remember that big stop they had on third down, but then they got called back for unsportsmanlike because they were taunting? Which, okay, that call was a little iffy in my book. The player, looked down at him. I understand the rules, but the refs got to let something like that go. That's a big stop and a big moment. Come on, let the boys play.
And I can appreciate what refs do for us, and that yes, they take a lot of slander from fan bases and coaches and players and all that, but at the same time, there's so many that are so bad for it's their moment too. You know what I mean? They
exactly
control the game way too much, and they're taught to not control the game. Let the kids play, man. Let them have fun. It's nothing excessive. Let it slide. But I want to touch on y'all talking about the heart that TC's got. I seen that firsthand when they got down to Irwin at home. I went to that game this year. Irwin jumped out on them. Me and my girlfriend are leaving with 3 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, and TC, daggum, almost came back and won the game. They had a chance to win.
Wow.
Yeah. So the heart that they've got, they got a good culture going on there, apparently.
They got some dogs.
They got some dogs.
Tyron Cradle. Apologies if I'm not pronouncing that name right. He really impressed me. He's a big back, that number 2 for TC. He's good. He looked really good that night. But yeah, on defense, I know we talked about Cohen Bohannon, 18 tackles, 12 solo, and an interception. LaRon Mills was also helpful with 8 tackles, 5 solo. But yeah, it was just bad start and penalties really did TC in this game. So unfortunately, both 4A teams in Western North Carolina, TC and Asheville, are both going home, which I don't think any of us would have bet that both of those teams would be gone. So yeah,
it's hard enough. It's hard enough in the mountains come playoff time to go outside the mountains and beat somebody. There's just better talent. I don't know what they're feeding them kids outside the mountains, what's in the water or what, but especially at the 4A level, I can't imagine how hard that is. You've got that many more kids in the pool to choose from. So yeah, the fact that Danny Wilkins was able to go win one back in 2005, man, and that was a loaded Asheville team, and they barely won it. It's just a different ball game.
You can definitely tell that Asheville team wasn't the same as they usually are this year.
Yeah, but losing to Marvin Ridge.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. Can't.
There's always next year. Cougars are in hibernation as well. I don't even know if Cougars hibernate.
That's true. Listen. Asheville's been a great program for a while. They're not going anywhere. They'll be right back in the thick of things next week or next season.
I wasn't aware Warren turned into a wildlife biologist.
I am a zoologist, by the way.
That is Dr. Jason Warren with your animal fact of the day. Cougars hibernate. Nobody Google that. I don't know if that's accurate. Don't double check.
Pretty sure it's not.
I thought they were supposed to always be on the hunt.
They were not on the hunt this Friday.
Speaking of animals, my Brevard Blue Devils are chock full of them. Did you guys see what happened? Yeah, I told you. I told you to watch out for them. They beat the snot out of Anson, 42-6. Give me some credit. I told you to watch. Nobody cares. They're going home is where they're at.
I was genuinely asking.
Wherever they're at, they're sitting on their couch in their living room watching the rest of the playoffs because my Blue Devils sent them home.
All I know is they were in Transylvania Friday, and they found out real quick.
Listen, those Blue Devils, that rushing attack, 261 yards on the ground. Braylon Thompson got the party started early for Brevard with a 27-yard rushing touchdown and then followed that up with a 3-yard touchdown to put them up 13-0. And then I'm thinking, okay, we're sitting pretty. Brevard gives up a 96-yard touchdown pass in the second quarter. But I knew that was going to wake up my Blue Devils. I knew it was coming. And from that point on, Brevard's D put the clamps on Anson in the second half. Offense kept doing their thing. 29-0 after halftime. Thompson finished with 97 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns on just 12 carries. That's 8.1 yards per carry, kids, if you can't do math. And he also had 1 catch for 25 yards. Nyrell Skinner added 88 yards and a touchdown. And the defense was flying all over the field. They didn't get any sacks, but they did have 15 pressures on Anson's QB and held the team to 229 total yards. Zion O'Neal-Brown, 7 quarterback hurries, 10 tackles, including 2 tackle for losses. Judson Weaver, who's been a beast all season. O'Neal-Brown has too, but Judson's been leading the team on defense with 5 quarterback hurries, 6 tackles, 1 tackle for loss.
I can't believe.
I mean, dude, I'm telling you, the defensive line was super impressive. Yeah. And this marked Brevard's 7th consecutive win, and their defense has been dominant in that stretch, giving up just a little over 7 points per game.
What's Brevard's seed currently? What are they?
They are the number 9 seed.
Number 9.
They're number 9.
They got a good.
You said Brevard had like 12 combined QB hurries or something.
15 total. They had 12 between just 2 guys, Weaver and O'Neal-Brown.
And whether you're getting the sack or not at the high school level, especially when you're getting pressure on the QB's face.
Oh, you're causing chaos. You're throwing off the timing of the quarterback. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they were living in the backfield the entire game.
So Anson County's quarterback basically ran the Boston Marathon trying to get away from those guys. God dang.
Yeah, he's got some bruises for sure from that game. A couple other stats: Christian Conley and Benjamin Kessinger split snaps at quarterback. They were combined 7 of 11 for 169 yards, and they each threw a TD. One of which went to Dylan Galloway, who we brought up last week. Shout out Dylan. I think it was a 35-yard touchdown reception. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, they advanced. My Blue Devils are moving on to a second-round 8 and 9 seed matchup with Bunker Hill, who hammered Hendersonville 54-26 in the first round. It's going to be a tough matchup. I think that's something that we're gonna bring up later and kind of look more into that game.
I want to say now I've only seen Brevard in person one time this year, and that was against Irwin. But they had put Conley in at quarterback. I feel like I might have just missed him some in the first half, but the only time I remember seeing him come in was like later in the second half. And this is when Brevard was trailing, and the kid played phenomenal. He was more of a dual threat, could run the ball. He was throwing stuff off the run, throwing dimes. If I'm not mistaken, I think he may have had a touchdown pass that game too on a bomb on the run. I don't know. I'd give him some more snaps.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they just kind of use him as kind of a change of pace quarterback. I know you normally hear that for like running back, and get a change of pace back from a power back to a little scat back, but I don't know. Maybe he gives them a different look at quarterback, and if Kessinger's struggling or something at some point, they throw him in there. But they only threw 11 times total. Yeah. So it was clear their game plan coming in was we're going to run the ball with Thompson and Skinner because those are our monsters in the backfield. Yeah. So
when you got them, feed them the ball, man.
Yep, feed the beast. So my Blue Devils, moving on. I told y'all, watch out. All right, so we got a couple other Western North Carolina teams advancing. There were 11 overall. We'll just run through those scores real quick. We had AC Reynolds beating Central Davidson 37-7. Saw that Max Guest was officially ruled out for the rest of the postseason with an ACL and an MCL tear that he tore against Irwin last week. So Reynolds is pretty banged up. But to their credit, They won in a rout against Central Davidson, but they face 11-0 Dudley next week, who just smacked Asheboro 55-0. So
shout out Will Graves.
Shout out Will Graves. That's an old Tar Heel reference for those of you who don't know. That guy played about 12 years ago for UNC basketball.
He sucks.
But yeah, Reynolds banged up. It's going to be a tough task for them to beat Dudley, but hey, we're rooting for the Rockets, so Good luck to you all. Irwin did their thing as the number 1 seed should, 56-25 over Parkwood. Hayesville over Union Academy, 37-35. That was a close one. I didn't get to watch that one or see any highlights from it. That sounds like that would have been a good game to check into.
I had Hayesville in that game. I did.
Okay. Props to Corey for picking that one.
Don't know why I did.
Don't know why I did.
More like because
I had him, guys. Guess what? I had that game.
Warren, don't be mad because I'm 2-0.
I'm just. Guess what? I had that game too, guys.
So after we make our picks towards the end of this episode, we're gonna keep track of everybody's stats from here on out, win-loss record.
And when Warren is dead last, nobody needs to be surprised.
We'll see who the kings of picking games are. Mitchell, 39, Drawn, 28.
Another one wrong.
Warren, I think you had Drawn in the upset there. And they were trailing by quite a bit, if I remember correctly. I think at halftime they were down about 3 scores, so they tightened that one up a little bit.
Yeah, they were down 31-14 at the half, stormed back. They just didn't have enough heart Friday night. Hate it for them.
Mountain Heritage continues to be a wagon, 57 over North Stokes 7. Murphy, 62, Highland Tech 6. Robbinsville, 20, Thomasville 7. West Henderson, 27. South Rowan, 12. And Cherokee, 25 over Carver with 8. So we mentioned my Brevard Blue Devils and that we might have to come back to them. I think our game of the week is going to be Brevard at Bunker Hill. Brevard's coming in averaging 39 points per game. Bunker Hill averaging 37 points per game. Brevard's offense is led by their 2-headed monster running back duo, Braylon Thompson and Nyrell Skinner. They have a total of 1,589 rushing yards, 25 touchdowns on 8 yards per carry between them. That's pretty damn good. Bunker Hill's offense, on the other hand, is led by their do-it-all star running back, Jason Willis Jr., averaging 127 yards per game rushing, 58 yards per game receiving, and he has 28 touchdowns on the season. Bunker Hill has been averaging 50 points per game over their last 4 games, all wins. And we already talked about the 7-game stretch with Brevard and how they're only giving up a little over 7 points a game. So something has to give, boys, between these two, because
I'll tell you what,
they look very similar on paper.
I'll tell you what's not going to give. Jason Willis. That kid seems to be quite the problem.
He sure does. I mean, he runs it out of the backfield. He catches it out of the backfield.
Brevard.
I think last year he had 34 touchdowns, I think it was, and he's already got 28 so far this season. And that's a shortened season too, right?
Yeah.
So he's a problem.
Brevard had a hard time with Milky, so Willis seems I don't know about that. We'll see.
I'm going to tell you guys something right now. Not only am I a zoologist, I'm also an historian. The Battle of Bunker Hill happened in Charlestown, Massachusetts. The British won that battle. British ain't winning this battle. Brevard is not winning.
I got
Bunker Hill by 3 touchdowns.
Whoa.
Are you accusing Brevard of being British?
Yeah, I might want to back that one up. But, I mean, Bunker Hill, I think you mentioned this earlier, Caleb. Bunker Hill hasn't lost at home. I thought it was 14 straight games. You said 21 back in 2021. 21 straight home wins. That is wild. That's dominant. I think they have the best player on the field. It's going to be like that. It's going to be one in the line of scrimmage. Best. I mean, they both pound the rock.
That's going to be about like trying to win at Texas A&M.
I'm gonna go Brevard 31. Actually, I'm gonna go Brevard 34. Bunker Hill 29.
Okay.
Listen, Bunker Hill has not seen a defense like they're gonna see this Friday.
Blue Devils are just hot, bro. It's gonna be hard.
They haven't seen a D line with people like Zion O'Neal Brown and Judson Weaver on it. Okay.
Has Brevard seen anyone like Jason Willis Jr.?
Well, they ain't gonna see him Friday either because they're gonna shut him down.
Brevard will be hungry after last year, though.
Jason Willis Jr. has under 90 total yards of offense against Brevard. Book it, Brevard by 14.
I do not care. I do not care how hungry Brevard is. They'll have plenty of time to eat in the offseason because they're getting put out Friday.
You said the same thing about Smoky Mountain or Pisgah last week too, didn't you?
Hey, I just gave you some knowledge about Charlestown.
Me and Warren are agreeing on this one. I'm going Bunker Hill. I'm going Bunker Hill 35, Brevard 21.
Bunker Hill 21, right. Brevard 10.
Nah, it's gonna be a high scoring game. Too low.
Nah, it won't.
Look at the yards per game. It's gonna be a barn burner.
You know you can't argue with him.
I know, he's so cute.
We also said Pisgah and Smoky would be a barn burner, and Aiden Johnson just burned everybody's barn down, especially Warren's.
I wish I owned a barn. I think I live in one. Might have been born in one. Not sure.
I'd guess yes.
It's Brevard. Always has been, always will be. Brevard on Friday night. Me and Dylan got Brevard. Corey and Jason got Bunker Hill. But listen to some of these stats. Look how comparable they are. Brevard rushes for 242 yards a game. Bunker Hill right around 200. Passing yards a game. Brevard 126. Bunker Hill 160. Total yards per game. Brevard at 368. Bunker Hill 356. Tackles per game. 69 versus 65. I mean, these teams are very evenly matched on paper. It should be a good one. And it makes sense because they're only, separated by one seed, 8 versus 9 seed. So Warren mentioned it, that Bunker Hill is on a 21-game home winning streak. Their last home loss was on October 15th, 2021. And their next loss will be on, let me look at what Friday is, 11/22,
I knew you was going to do that. I saw it coming.
Let's go Blue Devils, baby.
I wish I could go to this game with you. That would have been a lot of fun.
I know. It's about an hour north of me. I think I'm going to make the drive up and root my blue Davils, as I said last episode, onto a victory. So let's go Brevard. So from that point, I think it's only fair that we jump right into playoff picks. You guys want to go down the list and give our individual picks for each game?
Let's do it.
So in the 1A playoffs, you got the 5th seed Corvian Community versus the 12th seed Mitchell. Who you boys want in that one?
I got Mitchell. I'm gonna ride that bandwagon now.
Going Corvian.
I got Corvian as well.
So, Jason, after you talk so much smack about Mitchell losing to Avery and you picked them to lose to Drawn last week, you're trying to jump back on Mitchell's side now?
I think they learned. I think they learned something from that Avery County loss. They jumped on Drawn 31-14, and then kind of.
Man, if I was a Mitchell fan, I would not like Jason Warren. Go give him crap on Facebook.
Don't follow my sports picks either.
Yeah, don't ever get on a parlay.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the Cardinals are coming to beat them this week.
You know what? I'm going to take Corvian Community too. Next game in the 1A, we got the 4 seed Eastern Randolph versus the 13 seed Cherokee. Who you guys like?
Give me East Randolph.
Give me Eastern Randolph.
It's Eastern Randolph all day, every day. It always will be.
I'm going Cherokee with the upset. All right, next we have number 3 Murphy versus number 19 Christ the King. Warren, who you got?
I'm going with a big time upset. I know everybody's been talking about Murphy. Won state titles in the past. They're a contender this season. Going with Christ the King. It's Christ the King for one, and I predict them to beat Murphy. Big time upset. Predict Christ the King by 14.
Give me the Dogs by 21.
Give me Murphy by 40.
No.
Yeah. Murphy by 40.
Yeah.
No respect for Christ the King.
Let's go.
You guys really think
Jesus
Murphy's going to be
that.
Christ the King by 40?
Yeah.
Y'all need to go to church immediately that Sunday.
I'm also going to take Murphy. Sorry. Apologies.
Don't ever apologize for being right.
Is the 6 seed Bessemer City versus number 11 Robbinsville. I'm going another upset, Robbinsville, baby.
I got Robbinsville too.
Give me the Black Knights.
I'm going to follow the bandwagon. Give me the Knights. Love me some Robbinsville football.
Let's go. So we got a sweep there, Robbinsville sweep.
Shout out the Big Oaks fan base. One of the best high school games I've ever been to. We appreciate y'all.
Is that the one with the statue that you mentioned?
Yeah, that we were talking about.
You just got
if Oak Markland plays.
You just got to start mentioning that.
We're not bringing up Oak Markland again, okay?
Sorry,
freaking Oak Markland.
Look at him. Here he is.
Oak Markland lost last week. Okay, he's done.
He's still a legend in our eyes.
Good run, Oak. It was a good run.
I might start mentioning.
Find your statue at Robbinsville for some reason.
Speaking of Oak Markland, I got some news for y'all here in a little bit about him.
Ooh, I
Oh, a
like
little
it.
teaser. Maybe a little basketball teaser. I like
Little
it.
oak on
I feel all tingly
little
inside.
oak on the little hoops.
Tell me Oak can windmill.
Oak had 24 last game.
Number 2, Mountain Heritage versus number 18, Hayesville. I mean, it's Mountain Heritage. Do we even need to go around the table?
Nah.
I wouldn't pick Hayesville against any football team that is blind. Give me Mountain Heritage.
You hear that, Hayesville? You better come after Dylan. So Mitchell fans, you hate Jason, and Hayesville fans, you hate Dylan.
Give me the Cougars.
Easy win.
Jason, any comments?
Oh, sorry, Mountain Heritage.
Okay.
I thought it was like a done deal.
We did our 2-way pick, Bunker versus Brevard. Obviously, me and Dylan got Brevard. Corey and Jason took Bunker, Hill. And then finishing it up in 3A, we have the number 1 seed, Irwin, versus number 17, Smoky Mountain. Corey, who do you want?
Aiden Johnson's going to put up as much of a fight as he can, but I got Warriors 35-14.
All right. So I don't think this game was talked about enough. Obviously, we can't talk about Smoky Mountain for the whole show. Give me the Mustangs, 28-24. Irwin gave up 25 points to Parkwood. Corey's already touched about Smoky Mountain's rushing attack. Gonna be, I know they're playing at Irwin, but I like the way Smoky's playing right now. Well, they won 6-7 in a row, something like that.
They are on a hot streak.
I don't know if Milky's healthy or not.
He is. He's back.
But back for how long though? But give me.
So was he out for the game against Parkwood?
Yes, he was in a boot.
Okay, but he's back for this one.
Yes, and listen, Warren, I will say this: I am going with Irwin. I think fairly easily in this one, but I'm not saying I can't see it. I'm with you on that. Just because of what I saw from Jarek Jones and Jay Stillwell and Aiden Johnson last week, they run it hard. So we'll see how physical Irwin can get with them.
Give me Smoky 28-24. I think it's going to be a great game. It's not going to be no 35-14. You can go ahead and stop all that nonsense, son. God.
Don't make me text you again.
Dylan, who you got?
I got Irwin in a very close matchup, 28-27.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I got Milk. Give me my boy Milky Ray. Handling business, knocking off the Mustangs. Get them out of here. Irwin advances. They're the number 1 seed. They're the top dogs. They keep it moving in the playoffs. We have number 5 Dudley versus number 12 AC Reynolds. Dylan, start us off.
With Max Gascon from the Reynolds Rockets, I'm going to put Dudley beating them by 21 points. Maybe more.
Yeah, I'm going to be cheering hard for Reynolds because, Guess was their emergency QB. I don't even know who they have playing QB now. Probably an athletic wide receiver. They're going to run some option stuff.
Wildcat, maybe.
Yeah. Dudley's going to win. I think it'd be amazing if Reynolds somehow pulled it out, and I really hope they do.
I think it'll be amazing if Reynolds can keep it close, in my opinion. Not hating on them at all. Hate it for Max Guest because I know I don't know how many times now that he's jacked up his knee. Great athlete. Prayers go up to him and his family. But, yeah, I think Dudley's just got too much firepower, man. A lot of athletes down that way.
Yeah, Dudley too much firepower. AC Reynolds is too banged up. Unfortunately, I think this is going Dudley's way. But like Jason said, we're for sure rooting for Reynolds. So go in there, prove us wrong, pull off the upset. We're rooting for you. And then the last game, number 7 West Henderson versus number 10 North Lincoln. This one could get a little spicy. What do you guys think about this one?
I'm gonna have to go with North Lincoln. I looked at this game all day. I think with the Zane McCraw injury, that's a big time hit when you start getting in deep playoffs. Second round game. Yep. I think North Lincoln, especially you look at their resume, man. I think they beat East Lincoln, which we all know is a very good football team. Used to give Frady's team some fits. But yeah, I think that they have played too many of better teams than West Henderson's done this year. So we'll see though. It could be a close one. I'm gonna say North Lincoln. Let's go 31-21.
Yeah, I'm with Corey. I did a little bit of research on this game earlier, and he pretty well summarized everything that I was going to say. North Lincoln, especially with Wes Henderson's injury, is just too much. I'll go 31-21.
Dylan, what you thinking?
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go North Lincoln as well. They're actually 10-1. They've won every game this year except against Hickory, so I feel like it'll be
that's who it was.
Be a blowout. Hickory's undefeated as well, so should be.
Yeah, Hickory's good.
I feel like they'll beat them three touchdowns, especially with that injury like Corey was mentioning.
Yeah, I hate to make it a clean sweep, but I'm also going North Lincoln. I think the Zane McCraw injury is just going to be too much for West to overcome. He was a crucial part of their team. So, unfortunately, I'm also going North Lincoln. But, as with AC Reynolds, we're rooting for Western North Carolina. So, good luck to Wes Henderson. Prove us wrong. So, switching gears a little bit here, fellas, I'm going to talk some soccer. AC Reynolds boys soccer made it to the Final Four of the 3A playoffs, but unfortunately just lost yesterday evening to Asheboro 4-2. That loss ended an 11-game winning streak. And, during that 11-game winning streak, you thought maybe they were having one of those magical kind of seasons where everything seemed to be going their way. I mean, they beat Enka in the third round 2-1 in a double overtime classic. After that, they beat South Point 3-0 to advance to the Final Four. So, unfortunately, they fell short against Asheboro, but they lose senior Logan Ernst, who led their team with 18 goals this year. But their next three highest scorers will all return next season, including Alex Golovchuk. Forgive me if I'm saying your name incorrectly. Golovchuk, who had 17 goals as a freshman. Wow. So, I mean, assuming he doesn't,
he's good.
Channeling
transfer somewhere or anything like that. I mean, 17 goals as a freshman on a 21-2 team is pretty good.
He's going to get some NIL money.
Their other two leading scorers, their names are escaping me at the moment, but they're going to be back next year. They were juniors, so promising future for AC Reynolds. Congrats to them for making it to the Final Four. That's no easy task, so better luck next year and just keep firing away. Dylan, you got some hoops news for us?
Got some hoops news. Finally, looking forward to basketball starting. Not that many public games started, but just a couple. So I'm going to go over a couple here. We had East Henderson beat Veritas 2 days ago, or yesterday, and then they played Asheville as well. Two big games from Caden Brewer. He had, and both the games combined, 55 points, 11 rebounds, 7 steals, and 11 assists.
Brewer's good, man.
It's big time.
Yeah, and his little brother, he's a freshman too. He had 10 plus in both games as well. Looking forward to see him up and coming as well. North Henderson beat Enka 68-57. I would give you stats on those, but they do not update their stats, both of those teams. So hopefully they can watch this and post that a little bit more, and hopefully we can get some stats on them.
Come on, North Henderson and Enka. Jeez. Step it up. Who's your stats keepers?
Corey.
And this was actually a surprising game. South Caldwell beat Owen 90-71. And big shout out to junior Asante Martin. He had 42 points for the Warhorses and was 10 from 11 from the free throw line. So that was a huge game. He's a junior as well. So
you said they beat South Caldwell?
No, they lost. They lost 90-71.
Okay, I thought you were saying they beat them 90-71. I was about to say, whoa, Owen might be good at basketball.
South Caldwell pulled it out, but still, I mean, that's not bad. I expect it to be more of a blowout, but 90-71 for them.
Yeah. So Owen had 42 of their 71 points.
Asante Martin did.
Yeah, Martin had 71. Oh God, I can't talk. Martin had 42 of Owen's 71 points.
Right.
So he's like the LaMelo Ball of the Hornets, is what you're saying. Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't get benched with 3 minutes left in the game, but
don't
send Warren down the rabbit hole. I'm sorry.
All right.
I was so pissed off last night.
All right, and we got Avery beating Morganton 84-37. Mr. Oak Markland, 22 points, and Hank Johnson with 20 points.
Big Oak,
so
baby.
Oak Markland,
so Oak just
dual sport athlete.
Oak does it all.
Oak just does it all, boys.
Let's see.
The oak has many branches, if you will.
And we had McDowell beat RS Central 78-39. Mr. Ryland Parkins, who was one of our top players, had 23 points. Christ School beat Carmel Christian 74-42 to advance to a 4-0 start. Madden Collins had 18 points. Dason Petty had 18 points. Tyler Jones had 18 points, and Mikey Wilkins had 17. So that was
that's insane.
that's just hard to compete with.
How do you guard that?
I don't know.
You don't.
You don't.
You go out and just say, boys.
That's why they
boys,
won
y'all have
74-42.
All right, and for our last two schools, hopefully they start putting out the stats. But Asheville School beat Lincoln Carter 67-55 to advance 5-0 on the season, and ACA beat Covington Day 55-52.
Yeah, so a good week for Asheville School. They were also they three-peated as Division II North Carolina State champs. So
Football.
Shout out to them. Yeah, football. Now it's time for our Mountain Matchup Certified Dogs of the Week. We're each going to pick our Player of the Week. Corey, start us off.
Yeah, so I got to go with running back Braylon Thompson of Brevard. I mean, that game with 97 yards rushing and 3 TDs on only 12 carries with an average of around 8 yards per carry. That's very impressive to me. I remember him giving Irwin fits when they played earlier in the year. He's quick, runs hard downhill. He's improved his junior campaign from last year's sophomore campaign. Sophomore year, he averaged 54.2 yards per game on 133 carries for 705 yards in 13 games played. And this year, he's just at 10 with an average of 83.3 on 88 touches and a total of 833 yards. So big jump in numbers there. That's big for Brevard with him only being a junior. So that's who I got to go with.
So we're saying that Braylon Thompson is a certified dog. Jason, who you got?
This pick was easy for me. It was done Friday night. Me and you watched this game. Zach Lee, 36 carries, 252 yards, carried 4 people in the end zone. Big upset over Asheville. Personally, I don't even think it's even close for me. But Zach Lee from Marvin Ridge, just a straight dog animal.
Dylan, who you got?
Give me the junior Owen point guard, Asante Martin. Already mentioned him. He made 42 points, shot 61% from the field, 10 from 11 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. And that was a tough opponent against South Caldwell. So big shout out to him. He averaged 9 points per game last year as a sophomore, and he also plays football and baseball for the Warhorses.
Asante Martin is a certified dog. And for my pick, I'm going to go with an actual dog. Well, not like a literal dog, but West Henderson's Emma Bryson just put ink to paper. She signed with the Georgia Bulldogs women's volleyball team. She's a middle blocker who was a 4-time all-conference performer in her high school career. I mean, she's been Mountain 7 Conference Tournament MVP, Mountain 7, and Western North Carolina Player of the Year. She's been an AAU All-American. She's been Female Athlete of a Major Sport nominee after her junior year. She was 21st in the nation for hitting percentage at .489. I mean, the accomplishments go on and on and on. So she is an actual dog, a Georgia Bulldog, that is. So congrats to her for signing with Georgia. Georgia's got a great program. We're excited to see where Emma's career goes with them. So, fellas, I think that wraps up the show for today.
I'll shout out the Enka Wrestling program right quick. Their girls finished 5th in the tournament. Their guys finished 2nd in the tournament. I don't have names right off the top of my head, but props to them. I'm going to shout out Enka's wrestling program quite a bit on here just because I think they're awesome, and I love Mark Harris.
Don't we all?
Shout out Mark. He was my history teacher.
Mark's been there a while. I think he was there before I even got to high school.
I don't know, but he's still in better shape than all of us. I can tell you that right now.
Coach,
right, so you're saying you couldn't take him, Warren?
No, I don't even think I could out wrestle Mark when he's 80. Like, there's no way. There's no way. Maybe in an arm wrestling contest.
Well, you couldn't beat Shane at his birthday party.
No, I nearly broke Shane's arm.
That's not what I remember.
No, sir.
I remember you crying in a fetal position in the kitchen. Jason has very little arms. He's a very weak boy.
I remember whenever you broke Corey's leg, whenever you ran over him.
Yeah, how about that?
No,
going to the
I
NBA.
get you. Hold on. Fact check. I didn't break his leg. I broke his wrist. And my car isn't even what did it. He stuck his little frail wrist out and snapped it on the ground. I backed over his leg, and his leg was fine. It just had some tire marks.
Yeah, and Caleb's sitting there like on my leg with the car, and I watch him run over it twice. You know what the dude tells me? He's like, "Well, I panicked. I thought I was on your head." So I'm like, "You ran over it twice?"
No, I thought I was sitting on top of your head, so I had to move.
Yeah, let's just run it over twice.
So is that why
Hey,
you can't
your
shoot a
leg-
basketball,
again,
Corey?
Again, your leg is fine.
And that makes
It's
Caleb this
Warren.
week's
Warren.
certified dog.
All right, boys. So that does it for episode 2. Thank you, everyone who tuned in, and we will see you next week. Love you guys.
Love you, dog.
Woo.